What's up, guys? It's time for another ESPN Cricket for open mic where we get you guys involved in the hot topics on cricket. And well, these days we're searching for hot topics, but the ICC has gifted one to us just in the last week or so. And that's going to be about whether there should be some form of artificial substance used to alter the condition of the ball. Simply put, it was considered as illegal and ball tampering for all these years, but given the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and having to try and create the game in a more friendly way, so to speak. We're trying to find new ways to keep the game true to its original form. Now, fast bowlers have to be part of this discussion. And as you know, Shaun Tait's with me, so let's get Shaun as well. Terry, how are you doing, mate? All well? Back in Australia, and look at what's happening in the world. They're trying to mess around with the tampering law now and all this.
Is that why you're interviewing an Australian about this? Because of ball tampering, Aussie. We better get an Aussie on for that. They're the experts.
You know, funny enough, imagine this. Imagine if this does go through and they do allow some more artificial substance. Imagine what it's like being Smith or Warner or Bancroft, serving a year out and then having this come in a year later.
You got to laugh. You got to laugh, don't you? Absolutely.
Okay, before we get into this chat, and as you guys join us on YouTube and on Facebook on our live pages, and I will take as many of your questions as I can to Shaun Tait. We'll have this comprehensive discussion on how things are going to work. Firstly, even for the lay people like me, you've got to figure out exactly what happens to the ball when, spit is put or saliva is applied, and how is it different from artificial substances. But before that, in case you haven't noticed, there's an all-new ESPN Cricket Info to greet you when you get onto our webpage and our app now. So here's a look at that.
Missing cricket? Check out the new faster, sharper and all-new ESPNcricinfo.com. Scores a lot more.
We got a nice clean-shaven Deep Das Gupta to do that for us. And scores a lot more. It's not just about the scores in cricket. And you can tell now when there's no cricket happening, you need something else, don't you? So that's what we've got for the all-new ESPN Cricket Info. You can follow your favorite shows, read top articles in the alternative universe, relive ball-by-ball match commentary from classic matches of yesteryear on Retro Live, and check out the faster, sharper, all-new ESPNcricinfo.com right away. Scores say a lot more. That's not bad. We're revisiting some old games as part of our Retro Live. Is there a game in particular that you'd like us to revisit, Terry? You might want us to go to the 2007 World Cup final. I prefer the 2011 quarterfinal. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I got Sachin out that day. We can play that one. That's fine.
You did?
It's all about
It's
all about individual performance. The 2007 World Cup final, I didn't take a wicket, so no, don't show that one.
But you had a damn good World Cup. But anyway, we couldn't even see if you would have taken a wicket in that 2007 final. That's how dark it bloody was at the end.
Very true.
But let's start getting the conversation going on the new proposed revamp or new proposed rule change. And first, let's just tell you what the ICC is considering, and then also take you through some reactions that came through. Now, the authorities are considering the possibility of allowing the use of artificial substances to help polish the red ball under the supervision of umpires in long-form matches. Now, that's being proposed and discussed, and we did see some reaction. So let's just take you through what fast bowlers around the world have just opined on it, and we did carry this on ESPN Cricket Info. Now, Ashish Nehra said that you need to have spit and saliva. There's no substitute. But Alan Donald is the only one who's actually been open to it, saying that, it's about time that they do something to the ball. He wants the balance in the game. And if there's anything that can work, might as well give it a crack. So that is, and he's also very curious to hear what the batsmen think about it. Azhar Mahmood is more worried or more interested to see on how they'd monitor whatever this substance is. He thinks the ball manufacturers would have to play a big role too. And that is going to be important to see how they can affect the change of the ball. So that's from Azhar Mahmood, more worried about what substance it is and how it's monitored. That's a pertinent point. Now, there are a few more. Let's take those reactions as well, and then I'll get Shaun Tait to jump in on all of those. This is Ashish Nehra, where he's saying suddenly it's not going to start helping swing the ball. You need to work on it using natural saliva and spit and whatnot, and sweat. And a better choice would have been to allow the team to pick one player who can use saliva on the ball when there's a need to shine. That's Ashish Nehra for you. Okay, let's take a bit of a pause now. That's a lot of information. So let me first go to you. Maybe Ashish's point first. He thinks it's very important that spit saliva stay, and only one man can do it.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. What if that man has coronavirus? That's not going. It's not going to be very good. If that person's anyway. You're still going to be touching the ball that someone's used saliva with, so that defeats the purpose, I think, of what the topic is. But it's very interesting. I think Alan Donald was saying, whatever we can, if we can have a crack somehow. I just think if cricket can start playing sooner rather than later, and whatever we can do to make that happen, I think it's got to be looked at.
All right. The other point that we pick up from there was that whatever artificial substance you apply, it's not a good enough substitute to the natural sweat and saliva that helps in helping the ball to reverse and whatnot. Is that true?
Well, there's a good chance it might be better. I mean, who knows? I mean, I think for sure, the ball manufacturers might have to come into play. But I don't think it's going to take. There'll be something out there pretty obvious, I would imagine, that would make a difference on the ball and keep the ball in better condition. Who knows what that is? I sort of like the idea of maybe just at the end of the over, under the supervision of the umpire or umpires, that something like that. Just off the top of my head now, just thinking, would certainly have to be looked at. Giving equipment or something to players, maybe throughout the course of the game, that might bring up a few grey areas, maybe. So I certainly like at the end of the over, trying to keep the ball in good condition somehow.
All right, let's have a look at a few more reactions. Now Michael Holding also did give his opinion on this, and there's also there's Waqar Yunus. I'm very curious to see both those, and you've seen this on ESPN Cricket Info. Now, Mikey makes a very good point. He says that you need to play in a biosecure environment. Then why are you worried about the saliva? Now, that's essentially rules that are coming in place that if cricket is to resume, people are supposed to be quarantined 2 weeks prior, so that that there's no threat when the game actually happens. Now, if you are worried, if you are happy that the players are healthy, then what's the issue with using sweat and saliva? That is Mikey's point. It's black and white, as it typically is with Mikey. Either it's safe or it's not, nothing in between. And Waqar Yunus has given his 2 bits as well. Now, if anyone knew how to get that old ball talking, it was Waqar Yunus. And he said that he needs the natural process of saliva and sweat, and therefore he rejects the proposal for artificial substances. And it's practically not possible to prevent a bowler using his sweat or saliva. That's an interesting one. Let me start with Waqar's point, that because you're running in all day and you're going to sweat naturally, there's no way you can avoid sweat or saliva on the ball. So even if there is a proposal for new substances or artificial substances, that's not going to rid the ball of natural sweat or saliva, is it, Tait? Or at least sweat.
No, it's not a bad point. I mean, you got to have sweaty hands and all that sort of thing. So certainly, I mean, to be honest, I've never actually, when I bowled, I didn't use a great deal of saliva. I actually find it quite disgusting, to be honest. But so I'm actually sort of all for a different way of doing it in some ways. But they're very good points, both of them. Even Michael Holding's point is not a bad one as well. I suppose you just got to take, the ICC have got to take steps to cover everything. If something does go wrong for some reason, and they have to shut cricket down again for the 6 months, it's not going to be great. It's going to be even more frustrating. So whatever they're going to do, they're probably going to have to do it fairly clearly, and whatever, so that they don't shut the game down again because of a mistake or a mishap.
All right, I'm going to start getting you guys involved now, watching on our Facebook live feed, our YouTube live feed. So let's start with the first question that comes from Anekant Jain, who's watching on Facebook, and he asks a good question. How will umpires control the use of artificial substances? Well, they've got enough to do with the umpires, you think, these days, but how can you regulate it? Can you give them an artificial substance and have them monitor how much is being applied?
Well, yeah, maybe the umpire could hold on to whatever it is they're going to use, or what they're not going to use, but whatever it is that might be used, whether it's a cloth or who knows, the imagination runs wild. But maybe at the end of the over, under the umpire's supervision, if the umpire's holding it with them, keeping it with them, they could do it then. And who knows, if it works, they might continue on down that road for cricket in the future.
Now, the other thing is, and Anikant has a follow-up, which is good. I'm going to take that right away because that's something we should lead with for those that need the distinction between scuffing up the ball and shining the ball. Yep. And he says the proposed measures are to aid in shining the ball. Would you have liked something that would have helped roughen the ball up.
No, that's illegal. I mean, that was the whole thing with the
But
sandpapering.
Stady, this is a good question because Faf du Plessis, when he was charged, it was in that Adelaide Test back in 2014, I think it was, that he said that there's a difference between ball shining and ball tampering, and he copped a bit of flack for that because there's no such thing in the law. So whether you're using something to either shine aside or scuff inside, it falls under the same rule. But is there a difference significantly between trying to stuff the ball up
Yes.
and trying to shine it?
Yep. Certainly, I think definitely in the nets. I remember years ago playing and being in the nets. We wanted to practice some reverse swing. So in the nets, we got the ball and scuffed it up on the concrete. This is at Adelaide Oval where I used to play, and we'd scuff it up on the concrete, and then eventually we'd get the ball reverse swinging. Whereas just shining the ball itself was it was a longer process. So you start off swinging conventionally, which is normal swing. If I'm an outswing bowler, you continue to keep the ball in good condition, shining it with sweat or saliva. And then as the ball wears out throughout the course of a day, say a test match or a 4-day game, it would scuff up by itself being hit on the ground or being thrown in from the boundary. So, and then obviously keeping the other side shined or smooth with saliva or sweat, the ball would start to reverse swing later in the day. Where if you just grab the ball in the first few overs and start scruffing it, then that changes it completely, if that makes sense.
All right, Absar Ahmad on our YouTube feed. Should they legalize ball tampering by using natural means? That's not using bottle caps or an external item, is what I think Absar is trying to say. But you could use dirt, you could use your thumb to lift the seam. What about that?
Well, that's the whole thing. That it's. I think what they're trying to say, the ICC are probably thinking is maybe we'll try and continue the natural process as it is now, which is using sweat or saliva to shine the ball. How else can we shine the ball? I don't think this is about scuffing the ball or picking seams or anything like that. It's more about how can we keep the bowler in the game. At the moment, the bowler's still in the game in a test match because they can shine the ball and keep it in good condition. You can't scuff the ball. So I think they're going to sort of lean towards something, whether it's an oil or who knows what, to keep the ball shiny.
All right. Eugene Gaming is putting this question multiple times to us, and we did touch upon this at the start of this chat. He's against legal ball tampering, and Eugene is on our YouTube live. He's against legal ball tampering because Bancroft, Warner, and Smith were banned due to it, so it would be very unfair towards them. With the rest of the Aussies, just see the funny side of this, though.
Well, I don't know about the guys who are in that team. I mean, you got to giggle a little bit, don't you, now? It's not that raw anymore. It was a couple of years ago now. But, no, look, I think, obviously, it's under the circumstances, obviously, rules can change. It's not unfair towards those three guys because the rules were very different at that time. If they change the rules in any sport, then you follow them when they've been changed, yeah.
All right. Now, this is from Devraj Moitra. It's an interesting one. It's a rather drastic suggestion, but it's a good one because these are just weird times. Why not have a ball, and Devraj is on our Facebook Live, why not have a ball that doesn't require shining? Instead, it could be polished using a substance that the umpire keeps and gives to the player. Now, a ball that doesn't require shining would mean just play with a new ball. In a world post-corona, post-COVID-19, could cricket take something as drastic?
Yeah. Well, then the batsmen are going to have to face a new ball throughout the whole game, which is probably not fair either. But that's the whole, Test cricket, for example, the whole point is a change of conditions, whether it's the pitch, the weather, obviously, at the course of 5 days, or the ball. As we, I was sort of touching on before, the ball gets older, you can try and get it to reverse swing, all that sort of thing. So I think if you kept a ball that didn't need to be shined, then it would probably swing throughout the course of the whole day, which is going to be tough for the batsman in a test match.
This is from Balchandra Hegde on our Facebook. Similar sort of question on the ball condition itself. Why not concentrate at the time of ball manufacturing, which could help bring the desired result instead of using some artificial substance? So that's what he's saying, that use it in a way that the ball could perhaps be shinier for longer or be in good condition for longer. Then you won't need to worry about shine or whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, not a bad point, but I don't know the ins and outs of making cricket balls, but I'm guessing that would be that process to try and get that right would take years, I'd imagine. I don't know, Ronick, you're smarter than me, but Yeah, I think trying to come up with a ball that just lasts, for longer. Well, maybe I'm wrong. Longer period of time, then I just think that would be tougher.
Okay, so let's just, for the lay people now, just dumb it down, all right, and try and understand. How do you get the ball to reverse? Let's just put it out there now. We know it's one side heavy, one side light, but what do you do to the ball?
Well, this is always something in cricket that I don't think anybody's really worked out properly. But from my experience, keeping one side of the ball in good condition, and over the course of say it's a one-day game. Back in the day when it was only one ball used, over the course of 50 overs type thing, the ball will scuff up on one side, which sort of leaves one side of the ball smooth because you're shining it with sweat. The other side of the ball, you just leave it alone and it stays rough. And that seemed to work. So that's sort of the only way I know, from my playing experience about reverse swing. But other guys, other fast bowlers, other teams might have had different ways of doing it.
No, and it did change depending on where you were playing, right? If you're playing in the subcontinent, there used to be a lot more of that, throwing it into the ground, which helps toughen up from the outfield.
Yeah, I mean, the subcontinent was probably easier because, the drier outfields rough the ball up better, all that sort of thing. But it was the same sort of process. I mean, I always found, I know in my younger days, trying to get the ball to reverse swing, I'd put a lot of moisture on one side. And like you said before about keeping it heavier, that only seemed to work for a couple of overs. Whereas if you just kept the normal shine on the ball, more of a light shine, the ball seemed to reverse for longer doing that. But yeah, it's a great topic, and I don't think anybody's ever really cracked it properly.
All right. Again, the proposal seems to be for Test cricket and long form cricket only. It doesn't seem to, they're not really talking about white ball cricket at the moment, but then that's another debate on its own on whether we should go back to the one ball or things like that, given, ODI cricket. But maybe that's for another time. But because it's the longer format, this is from Akash Arya on our YouTube live. What about something specific for the pink ball? He says it moves more than the skill that the bowler permits. And what about something for that? Now, the pink ball is being accused of moving too much already. So if there is a rule that comes in, if it does apply to the pink ball, what happens then?
Yeah, well, I've never actually played with the pink ball, but
yeah, of course. Yeah.
That's actually not a bad point. That might come into play. They might have seen something in the pink ball that might work in this case, and I'm sure they've already spoken about it. That's a very good point, actually.
From what you've heard, though, the pink and what we've seen, the limited amount of day-night Test cricket, especially in Australia, we've seen the pink ball do a lot more, right?
Yep. I think the pink ball doesn't last as long. The pink apparently it gets softer quicker. It swings a lot, but maybe not for sort of a shorter amount of time. And obviously, when the lights come on and all that sort of stuff, the ball seems to move around a lot more. So, but there's also been times where players have not complained, but players have brought up the point that the ball gets softer earlier, and then you spend a lot of overs getting nothing out of the ball as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. This is from Rashik Tazwar on our Facebook, and I remember this name, Rashik. I read it out many times during a quiz during the IPL last year, and he says, "Hi, Shaun, Rashik from Bangladesh. I hope you remember me with all the incidents we had last year." This is the guy I think who dared you to wear the Bangladesh jersey of Australia.
Yeah, I do remember. Yeah.
Anyway, so good. I hope you're doing well, Rashik. His question is, won't batsmen find it harder if the proposed rule passes out?
Will batsmen find it harder? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, if you allow the altering of the ball, are you making it unfair towards the batsman?
Oh, well, how many? I mean, come on. How many? How much fairer could it possibly be for them? I think what they're saying, what they're sort of saying is if you weren't allowed to touch the ball, it's going to deteriorate very quickly, and it's going to be easier for the batsman. So to keep the bowlers in the game still, if you can just shine the ball on one side or whatever side you want to do, or just shine the ball a little bit at the end of the over or whatever it might be, rather than spit on the ball or use your sweat, it'll keep the bowlers in the game. Okay,
let's talk about potential substances that we can come up, and we're completely free now to imagine it and speculate. Now, let's take the first one. This is Praful Segal on YouTube Live. Vaseline. Can Vaseline be used for shining?
Well, I don't know what Praful's been doing with Vaseline. at home himself, but maybe that might work. Yeah, Vaseline. Why not? That's not a bad one.
Right, that's one of the things. The other one is Shri Kumar. What about a cream? Using something like a cream, that's again on YouTube. Would it be an advantage or a disadvantage? Now, what about these substances like Vaseline or like cream? They have come up and it's always been under the notoriety of, ball tampering. But all of a sudden, if we think of these as substances which can be used, what do you think can actually help? I mean, with a cream or Vaseline in any way, from your imagination, make it harder for a bowler in any way or make it harder for the batsman?
No, I think it would probably help. But the first thing that came to my mind was some sort of oil that would help leather on a cloth, right? So the umpire could hold the cloth in a little tin or something with a bit of oil, or whatever it might be, Vaseline, cream, and just at the end of the day, they can use maybe one dab of it or whatever the rules might end up being, and just rub it over the ball or wherever the bowler wants to put it in front of the umpire, and then all's good. So yeah, I think a cream or oil, Vaseline type thing on a cloth. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
I'm just thinking if there is oil or cream or Vaseline, would that in any way make catching harder?
Well, I'm not sure. I don't know. That's a good question as well.
You would think something with oil on it is harder to catch in the slip.
Yeah, but I don't think they want to flood the ball in oil. I'm not sure.
They will not cook it the way we do out here. Rishabh Mangwani on our YouTube live. This is a good question. Just the way a batsman can pick his bat based on his need, long, short, fat, thin handle, etc. Why not let bowlers pick from an assortment of balls at different times in the game, rougher or shinier, whatnot?
Yeah, that's not a bad one. I don't mind that because I'm a bowler. I look at that and go, that's not a bad one. But yeah, I think the problem is that obviously the bats they're going to be sort of similar sort of thing, whereas a ball can completely change the game. If you're halfway through a test or the first day of a test match, and you get out a ball that can just reverse swing around corners, you take 5 wickets the next 2 overs. That's the end of the test match. So, which is going to create a lot of mayhem and obviously there'll be a lot of doubters in that as well. So I understand what you're saying. I actually don't mind the idea sort of because I'm a bowler, but I think the ball can just change the course of the game too much.
Okay, I'm going to request Eugene Gaming to stop spamming the YouTube live with the same question again and again. I'll take it through if I want to. Yeah, please. In the meantime, I will take Ravdeep Mehta on our Facebook live. Says, for outright fast bowlers like Shaun, it wouldn't have mattered much as they rely on pace to deceive the batsman as compared to a bowler like a Bhuvaneshwar Kumar who would be more affected with this rule. Is that true? I thought it was the faster bowlers that got the ball to reverse a lot more.
Yeah, I think we've got the ball to reverse definitely, but I think early on in the innings, I think he's right. Guys like the swing bowlers, proper swing bowlers like Bhuvi, definitely rely on the ball to be in good condition. He's got a great wrist and his wrist position, his seam position comes into it, but certainly for those guys, I think their game would change if they couldn't keep the ball in good condition for sure. I think Josh Hazlewood spoke about it. I didn't see the full article or anything, but he was saying that, if they weren't allowed to keep the ball in good condition, it would certainly make for a difficult test match for fast bowlers.
All right. This is on the lighter side from Karan Chanana on Facebook. He says, Shaun, I'm a big fan of yours. I've been imitating your action since my childhood, but I still can't bowl at 100 miles an hour as of yet. Teddy?
Well, he must have a sore body if he's been trying to bowl like me since childhood, because I've got a sore body.
Well, I don't think it's advisable to try bowling like Shaun Tait with that sort of action that he had. Please don't try this at home. And this is from Shakil Idris Bhutta. That's a great name. And he says, share your experience if you've ever done some fishy things during bowling. That's on Facebook. Now, I want you to try and be as open about this because I know within cricketing circles, there's always this, especially in India, when you have these flat pitches and whatnot, where first-class players tend to say, oh, we've used mints and other substances all the time, and they felt bad almost, Smith and Bancroft and whatnot. But has it been the dirty little secret in cricket around the world that you do use something or the other to try and alter your condition of the ball?
No, well, personally, I never, in a professional game, I never used anything to do anything to the ball. But in under 16s, when I was playing under 16 cricket at my club side, we used to try at practice anyway. We used to try sunscreen and all that sort of stuff on the ball, and we'd put sunscreen on our shorts at training and shine the ball on the sunscreen. And I'm just trying to think if it worked or not. I think it worked, but I can't remember if it kept the ball in good condition for very long. That's all. But only as a kid in the nets, and like I said, in the nets actually when I was playing at South Australia, if we wanted to practice reverse swing, we'd get an older ball and scrape it on the concrete, just so we could practice in the nets. So, yeah.
All right.
That's
This is from Pete. Yeah, that's very fishy. Thank you. And that's pretty good as well. Put the cream onto the shorts and then rub it off the shorts. Nobody'd ever guess. Well done, Terry. Peter Winfield. Now, I'm just going to take this comment for the sheer brilliance of it, even if I don't know what it means. It's on our Facebook Live. And he says, I think the ICC should come up with some kind of microfiber cloth with a polishing compound embedded into it. Each player on the field gets given one when they enter and have to place it in a container with each of their names on it whenever they leave the field. So basically give everyone a certain type of cloth that will ensure that the shining is maintained and it's obviously controlled and it is healthy and clean and whatnot. What about that?
I think that's been one of the better ones so far. That's sort of in my... I don't, whether they do all the names on the boxes and all that sort of thing, I don't know. But certainly in my mind, that's the first thing that sort of came, a cloth with something on it or in it that could help shine the ball. I still like at the end of every over. So you're just going to have to tough it out for 6 balls of the over. At the end of the over, you can, in front of the umpire, you can clean it up, shine it up, and away you go again for the next over. I sort of like that idea, but I think that's a good one. Yeah.
Vishnu Nair has put that similar thought in just 5 words, I think. How about just a wet towel? That's what he asked on our Facebook Live.
I don't know if that would work. I don't know. If you wet the ball too much, it can destroy it. I know that. So you don't want to wet it too much. But I just don't know if water would work. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay, this is from Peter Mead on our Facebook. I like the polishing cloth or a neutral shoe cleaner. That's the other thing that's come up suddenly. Shoe polish, which could be used.
Yeah, I've never tried it, so I wouldn't know. But I think, again, the polishing cloth seems pretty fair game to me. Shoe cleaner. Look, it's a good chance for people to start trying it. The problem is we can't play any cricket anyway, so it's hard to try it. But it'd be nice if we had some guys send some videos in or something that had some examples of doing it.
The other thing is, Terry, that, and I come back to Mikey's point now, that either it's safe or it's not. If you do make this rule change, is it going to be a temporary rule change, or is this now going to stick in cricket, that we're done with the days of using sweat and saliva, and now cricket for time to come will only be used, only an artificial substance would be used? Because you would think that ideally you'd want the game to go back to how it's been played all these years, right?
I mean, yeah, straight away right now you say, yep, go back to how it was for sure. It just depends at the end. I mean, talk about the end, but when it's all washed up and the end of the COVID-19 and all this sort of thing, I think there possibly might be a lot of changes by law in society, in the world, and the way we go about things anyway. There could be. So in that case, then, okay, maybe you say cricket and sport might have to follow suit a little bit where it can.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I mean, yeah, you just think, go back to how it was. It was fine. All these years it's been okay. No problem. But, at the end of the day, it is 2020. We're playing T10 cricket. T20's obviously taken off and whatnot. So times are changing, and sometimes it's okay for things to change. People do struggle with that, which is fair enough. But I just think you probably can't rule anything out right now. That's all.
All right. Trent William on our Facebook is saying, Terry, when you come over for the barbecue this weekend, don't forget the potato salad. Is a friend of yours, Terry, or is someone expecting you to bring potato salad?
I wouldn't be going to a barbecue in the current climate, would I? That's that wouldn't be social distancing.
Absar Ahmed on YouTube has a good point now. Will this impact over rates? It's already abysmal, which is so true. Imagine now spending a lot of time trying to shine the ball. Everyone's got to figure it out for the first few months. You think it'll take?
You don't have to sit there all day shining it in front of the umpire. You can take 5 seconds to do it, or whatever it is, 10 seconds. I'm sure it's not going to matter too much.
Okay, and Doc Arfeen rather on Facebook. Your action was similar to Waka Yunus, according to Mikey Holding. Those slingy actions are ideal for reverse swing. Would I'm trying to think if bowlers might start bowling differently now if they are to try and get a ball to drop.
Yeah, I agree with that. That probably the slingier sort of bowlers probably, for some reason, found it easier to get the ball to reverse, different angles and all that sort of thing. I do agree with Michael Holding there. But it's not easy. I mean, sometimes your action's your action. You can change things a little bit, but it's very hard to develop a completely new action.
All right, and that's it. I think that's we're almost running out of time now, so I'll just get you take a final word from you. Would you rather have something tried out, and you open to the idea of something being tried out, Teddy, to see if the ball can be better maintained without the use of sweat saliva, or would you rather say no? Let's wait till a point where we can play without fear in a safe and secure environment. Like Mikey says, there's already talks about having to test players 2 weeks before the tournament, make sure everyone's healthy, and then just play as it was. So what would you prefer?
Yeah, I like that again, but there's obviously going to be points where you test guys and then they can pick it up possibly during or after or before the next game. You're going to have to continue to test people. But look, at the end of the day, it's pretty boring. If you're a cricket follower, it's pretty boring right now without cricket. So the quicker we can make it happen without being really stupid about it. If you're shining the ball with a cloth, I don't think that's going to be a huge change to the game. Hoping not. But whatever they need to do to get cricket back soon, because none of us will have a job if that doesn't happen. We won't be able to do this. Shows like this won't be able to happen. Cricketers won't get paid. You won't see the best players. So whatever they can do reasonably to get cricket back as soon as possible, I'm happy with.
Well, let's hope that happens sooner rather than later. Teddy, thank you very much for joining us. Stay safe, take care, and let's do this again and maybe pay you for it as well.
Thanks.
Once cricket is back. Shaun Tait, thank you very much. And thank you guys for joining us again. Again, apologies if I couldn't take everyone's questions and comments, but we're trying to keep this going with hot topics from the world of cricket. So do tune in next time as well when we have another issue for all of you to get involved with. And until then, of course, catch ESPNcricinfo.com as well as the mobile app for the very latest from the world of cricket, as well as the all-new ESPN Cricinfo, which is a lot more than just the scores. We'll see you again soon with another edition of Open Mic. Until then, stay safe, take care, bye-bye.